Good morning, my name is Cecilia Petricone and I am going to be vlogging a day in the life of a total pancreatectomy and islet autocell transplant patient for National Diabetes and Pancreatic Disease Awareness Month. So I had my TPIAT in April 2018. If you want to read all about my story, you can click the link below and it'll include sort of my whole journey, but a few things that you should know for today. I had chronic pancreatitis from a genetic mutation. I had my TPIAT about 18 months ago. And as a result of the TPIAT, I am an insulin-dependent diabetic. Though I'm not on much insulin, I still do wear a pump and I carb count all my meals, and I have to take enzymes with everything that I eat. So this sort of carries out throughout my entire day. It affects a lot of what I do. So you're going to see that right now. To start, I'm going to go to the gym right now, so I'll take you with me for that, and we'll have a great day.
Things that lower your blood sugar, there's a lot of things, but two big things are insulin and exercise. So in order to avoid being hypoglycemic during my workout, I always just turn it down by about 75% so that I can enjoy it without having to stop to drink juice. So I'm about to have a quick dinner before I head to work for the night, so I decided this would be a good time for me to break down what a meal is like for me. Earlier at lunch, my cafeteria is loud, so I couldn't really explain it all in depth, but I will now. So there's basically two parts that go into how I manage eating. Because your pancreas does two things, it's an endocrine and an exocrine organ. It basically means that it regulates hormones and it creates enzymes. So the enzymes break down all of your fats and proteins. So because I don't have that portion of, I don't have any pancreas anymore. I don't have that portion of functioning. I have to take enzyme capsules with every meal. So I take 3 to 4 of these ZenPep every time I eat. So I'm about to have dinner. I am having salad that I made and 2 tamales. So after I take those pills, which I'll actually just take now, I also need to carb count all of my food so that I dose the right amount of insulin on my pump, which I'll show you. So I use packaging when I have it. So these tamales did come packaged, so I'm able to use those. And then other than that, I sort of look up ingredients to put together carb counts. So first I'm just gonna take these ZenPep. So just took those 3. So I'm going to have 2 of these tamales, and I have the packaging from Trader Joe's for those. So a serving is 1 tamale, and I'm going to have 2. So it's 27 grams of carbs for the tamales. So that means it's going to be 54 grams for both of those. And then I have romaine lettuce, bell pepper, cucumber, and hard-boiled egg, not raw egg, in my salad. So that's going to be about 8 grams just for the vegetables, and I have a little bit of salad dressing on that. So 54 plus 8, I'm going to have a 62 gram dinner. So I input that data right into my pump, and I'll show you how. So I always just go to bolus, and the first number I have to put in is my blood glucose. So I wear a sensor on my arm right here that takes a drop of my blood every 5 minutes and tests it. So I just checked, the data comes up on my phone, and my blood sugar right now is 82. So I type that in and I hit yes, and it asks if I'm going to eat, which I am. So I hit yes, and like I just said, 62 grams of carbs. So I type that in, see that right there? And I enter, and it just confirms all the data. So my blood sugar is 82, and I'm about to eat 62 grams. So I hit confirm, and it suggests an amount of insulin. So this comes from a ratio that you program in your pump. It's an insulin to carb ratio, so it's how many grams of carbs are covered by 1 unit of insulin. So one of the big perks of having the islet cell transplant for my total pancreatectomy is that I do have some independent insulin production, which actually allows me to have a really low amount of carb coverage for meals. So my ratio is 1 unit of insulin for every 60 grams of carbs, and then the pump reorganizes Hi, so I just got back from work. I work at an ice cream shop right across the street from my campus, which is really fun. The pictures that were inserted before this were that I went low during my shift. So I stole a cup of gummy bears from our toppings and used that to treat my low. So for those of you that don't know, a diabetic low is anything below 70. And I wear the Dexcom on my arm that I talked about a little bit earlier. That sort of reads my blood sugar and alerts me on my phone if there's anything wrong. So while I was working, I heard the alert. I was in the 60s and dropping, so I ate a bunch of gummy bears and that went fine. So now what I have to do is change my insulin pump. So I'm going to pull off the old pump. It's on my back, or I would show you. So that's the old pump. So this is what I wear. And then just this little blue tubing actually goes into me. So there's like a well of insulin in here, and this communicates wirelessly with like this PDM, which is how this is where I input my carbs and my blood sugar. So they communicate wirelessly. So I change this every 3 days. So I'm gonna change this right now. So I start by just deactivating the old one. So change pod. So it's just deactivating this one. You have to keep them pretty close so they can communicate. So that's deactivated. So it asks, do you want to start a new pod? And I do. So the first thing that you have to do is fill the new pod with insulin. So this is the pouch that I keep in my backpack. It has all my essentials. Most importantly, my vial of insulin, which I keep in this like rubber protective coating. So if I drop it, it won't smash. So in there, I also have glucagon, which is used to treat if I were to like go unconscious from severe hypoglycemia. This is actually the new version. This is nasal glucagon. You used to only be able to get it like in an injection that you would have to like pull out of a vial and push into a vial and then pull out of a vial. But this one's like brand new and it's a lot simpler. So I keep that in there. I also keep test strips if I wanted to test my blood, which actually after I get this pod started, I will do for you just so you can see how that works. But that's what I keep in there, and I'm going to fill this new pump with insulin. So it comes with one of these, which is just what I just took off, but with still like the adhesive backing, and 2 parts of a needle. So I'm going to screw that together so the syringe and the needle are attached. And then I'm going to take a alcohol swab and clean the top of my insulin vial because it bounces around in that bag like all day and gets kind of gross. So then you pull the amount of air that you need. So you pull in the amount of air that's equivalent to the amount of insulin you're going to put into this. So I put the minimum in, which is 85 units. So it pulls to that line. Then you put it into the vial and you push that amount of air in. It just helps you pull out the insulin with less air bubbles in the syringe. And then I pull the insulin out until it reaches that line. So I'm right about there. There's a couple little air bubbles at the top. I'm just gonna flick those out, but that was pretty smooth. Sorry about that little snafu. Now it's going to start priming. I was actually going to change the batteries on camera after I did this, but it's going well now. I use AAA batteries in here. I always keep extra with me just in case something like this happens. You just saw like one of the many snafus that can happen in my day, but it's all good. So while this is priming, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on my life. So I lived for a long time with idiopathic acute recurrent pancreatitis turned chronic. So it made a lot of things in my life really difficult. I couldn't really have any predictability in my life. Traveling out of the country particularly was really difficult because I always had to be prepared to get on a plane and be able to get back to my doctors in the United States as quickly as possible. So since my TPIAT, I've really gained back a lot in my life. During my surgery, I had to take a leave of absence from school. I go to Boston College. I really love it here, but I was too sick and I was spending way too long in the hospital to be able to keep up with my school. So I took a leave of absence before my surgery and then after to recover. Oh, it's done priming. Now I'm able to travel. I'm actually going to Israel in over Christmas break, and then I'm going to Greece in the spring, which are 2 things that if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have never been able to plan or do. So I've really been able to just gain so much life from this. And I'm so thankful for it. So if you want to hear more about my like day-to-day life outside of this vlog, I actually run an Instagram account with my best friend from childhood. Her name's Ashley and she's a type 1 diabetic. She got diagnosed about 8 months before I became type 3 diabetic from my total pancreatectomy. So we sort of share our experiences on our Instagram, which is at 2 types of sweet. We share, our day-to-day lives. We share carb counting, all the little snafus that happen, just like you saw. Pumps die, blood sugars run high, blood sugars run low, pumps kink and you don't get as much insulin as you need. There's all sorts of things that happen every day. I actually just read something that said a Stanford study showed that a diabetic makes 180 extra decisions a day than a person who's not living with diabetes. And I would say that's pretty accurate. There's a lot of extra thinking that goes into your day, whether it be what you eat, how your activity is going to affect your blood sugar, sort of all that. So that's that. But if you want to see more, again, you can feel free to follow our Instagram. It's at 2 types of sweet. We have a really fun time with it. So now this is finished priming. My pump is telling me to just break off this piece, which covers like where the needle inserter and the cannula goes. So you just break that off, it comes off pretty easily. And then once that's broken off, you can apply the pod. So just like I did with the top of the insulin vial, I'm gonna put my pod on my arm and I'm just gonna clean the spot that I'm going to apply it, just because all sorts of stuff gets on your skin during the day and this is going to end up under my skin. So I wanna make sure that's nice and sterile. And then just pull off this adhesive. So this is the end that the cannula comes out of. You wanna put it into like a fattier area. So I am going, it's really hard to put it in a lean tissue because the absorption will be bad and it'll hurt a lot more going in. So I'm gonna put it right here.